Mushoku Tensei Season 2 has a lot of hype to live up to. After an absolutely brilliantly directed Season 1, full of emotion and adventure, surely we can only expect more. Well, yes and no. As we continue Rudeus' journey, we find it halted in a way, stalled by the devastating effects that happen at the end of Season 1. Rudeus, the ever-flawed character, finding the insecurities in his unique experiences, destroying his drive and willingness to continue on, searching for his mother in its wake, and ultimately being thrown back into university life and hoping for a cure. All the while exploring Rudeus' psyche, struggles, and unraveling the world, carrying it on as one of the most unique isekai experiences ever. But the ultimate question becomes, did the team at Bind nail this segment of the story? Let's get into that with my review of Mushoku Tensei Season 2, Part 1. Opening up the season following Edis leaving Rudeus in order to get stronger, Rudeus takes her departure and vague letter as a personal failure and abandonment. This leads him to the Northern Territories where he starts to search for his still missing mother, while seemingly seeking death through recklessness. He's taken in by an adventuring party and ultimately creates a system in order to help find his mother. He'll party with different adventurers, he'll get his name out there, he'll help out people, gather intel, all leaning in on the hopes that at some point his name will be spread out so far and wide that his mother will catch wind of it. But ultimately, tragedy befalls Rudeus as he discovers the abandonment of Edis has left him unable to perform as a man. This realization destroys his self-esteem and puts him in a very depressed state. But a shred of hope appears as the mysterious man god appears and once again tells him the next path that he should take. That he should go to the University of Magic where he'll find a cure for his ED. At the same time, he's also informed that his mother has been found and that she'll soon be reunited with her family. Thus begins Rudeus' school life in another world. That leads to him to meet many important figures in his life. Many of these people bring him a lot of joy in his joyless life, but also dredge up horrific memories that he hoped would never return. Not only that, but he also gains knowledge of his own origins and possibly his future as well. As per usual, Mushoku Tensei continues to be the most raw, unique, and impactful isekai fantasy out there. At its heart is a broken and flawed individual, Rudeus. Someone who has spent most of his previous life as a NEET, a shut-in that feared and hated others. Now given a chance at another life, he was slowly adapting and connecting to this new world. However, this segment of the story highlights a return of his own insecurities. He's alone again, abandoned, but more destructive. He seeks death. He feels he's a failure as a partner, pushes others away, and fears repeated rejection, and also struggles with performance issues. It's a slew of psychological elements that are all heavy, hard to stomach, and heartbreaking to watch. It's a segment of Rudeus' life that is easily the worst that he's ever been in this new world. And it's a reminder of how insecure as a person he is. It's a grim reminder to the viewers of this series that Rudeus is not just a flawed person in his perversion, but also a broken person in how he perceives others. From his mannerisms to keep other people at distance, to how he handles people who scoff at how he handles his own problems, to how he nearly gets himself killed several times because he lacks value in his own life. These are subjects that are rare in anime, and even rarer in isekai. It creates a raw, unfiltered, and while hard to stomach, believable experience amongst magic and dragons and swords. Let's face it, how many isekais deal with ED? A real and massively self-destructing thing that a man can face. No, we're not talking about those harem shows that you've watched where they've been with so many girls that they can't get it up anymore. This is a young person that has just faced something psychologically damaging and it's affecting him. It's making him feel inhuman. In the midst of all of this, is yes, fun and excitement and adventure, as Rudeus takes on missions with Counter Arrow and other adventurers. While the balance is more the human elements than these other moments, it does a good job of kind of accenting each other, as Rudeus finds clarity through basically the frailty of mortality. While not perfect, with this short time of Rudeus adventuring in this season was easily some of the most well-portrayed aspects of his downfall, and it left me hurting at its conclusion, despite the fact that many of those scars will pretty much carry over to the second arc of this part. Thus brings us to the university arc. Now, hold on, I know what you're thinking. Oh, here we go, the school segment, yawn. But Mushoku Tensei handles the university elements very well. As an invited special student, Rudeus has a lot of freedom. And this means that for the most part, he's not tied down to boring classes and schedules. It sort of turns into a method for Rudeus to both gain knowledge and encounter a lot of very important people. Granted, the novel series does get into some juicy bits in this arc, focusing periodically on advancing the magic and the mechanics of this world. But at its core, it has four major narratives. The first is for Rudeus to seek out a cure for his ED, the thing that is destroying him and his confidence as a man and a human, feeling broken and being unable to actually have deeper relationships. The second is to establish a connection with a lot of various individuals. Cliff, the possible future pope of the Mills Church, Zenoba, the exiled prince of Sharon, Princess Ariel, who technically invited him, is seeking the crown of Asura. The beastfolk princess Linnea and Priscilla, the mysterious, yet, well, not that mysterious individual known as Master Fitz, and many, many more. The third narrative is the mysteries behind the displacement incident and how it pretty much affects Rudeus' origins. And finally, some would claim the most important narrative here is to give Rudeus some sort of semblance of normality. Again, following his new life being pretty much thrown into chaos with the displacement incident. This all is portrayed well, giving some fantastic character moments and introductions. Zenoba's over-the-top antics and passion, Cliff's prideful nature yet still willing to change, the goofy comedy bits around Linnea and Priscilla, who pretty much steal the scene every time they're in it. The only real negative that comes from this is how the anime handled Fitz. Fitz is a character of mystery in the original novel. However, in the anime, Fitz's identity isn't much of a secret at all. While I don't really feel it's a detriment to the anime-only viewers, I did end up seeing a lot of people finding issue with Fitz because of that lack of mystery. Turning it from Fitz being, who is that, to, it's obvious who that is, why are they not getting it? It's sort of a casualty of turning a novel into a visual medium. And while I have my thoughts on how it could have been handled, in the end, it's not that big of a deal. Overall, the segments around the university itself could have some mixed responses. It's definitely a more slice-of-life moment that begs adventure. However, it's filled with so many amazing points. The mysterious figure that Rudeus eventually meets definitely serves as a major shakeup point. It's sort of something akin to how I felt with Turning Point 2. With the Dragon God and the Man God. It's something that takes what you feel is normal, that foundation you've kind of built by, being with Rudeus for so long, and just says, yeah, all the stuff that you thought was normal is no longer normal. Let's just break this, let's throw this in here. It answers so many questions the viewers has while creating 500 more. Which, yes, for most shows, most stories, can be annoying. With how the author handles a lot of his mechanics, there are questions that honestly you can speculate on and trust that they'll be answered eventually. Then there's also, yes, the arrival of Julie, the precious Julie that must be protected. While yes, a sore topic for many, Mushoku Tensei is always unafraid of diving into touchy subjects, giving Rudeus a direct experience on human trait in this new world, something that is, unfortunately, normal there. Julie is broken and given a new safer environment thanks to Zenoba's purchase. And Rudeus, a person who had once sought death, sees himself in Julie and offers death. It's something, once again, that is definitely not touched by most mediums. But here, it's both tragic, terrifying, and on display. And I love it. And yes, of course, there's the arrival of a certain demon that I absolutely adore. And I cannot wait to see more of. It all led up to a conclusion of this first part that I thought was excellent, if not slightly rushed. All that said, I do have criticisms of the university arc, one mainly stemming around the massive lack of inner dialogue for Rudeus. Yes, inner dialogue is often cut when you're adapting a light novel. There's so much of it in light novels. You just can't have a character sitting around for half an episode just thinking on things. However, I felt with season 1, it was balanced very well. Season 2, on the other hand, sees a severe lack of it. During this segment, Rudeus is constantly struggling with 3 aspects of his life. The first being in a school setting, he's constantly struggling with the aspects of bullying. Something that, yes, in his previous life was what destroyed it. So yes, he has a lot of compelling thoughts about it. The second is he constantly struggles with the fact that he has ED. Every time he sees somebody else in a relationship, it hurts him. Every time he's around a beautiful woman, he hurts. He actively avoids encounters because of it. And finally, the third is his self-deprecation, his weakness. Being that he's not an OP main character of an Isekai show, Rudeus constantly acknowledges that he's defenseless. Despite the fact that everybody praises him, like he does some great feat, everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. People fear him. But he himself in his own mind is constantly thinking, no, if the circumstances were different, I'd be dead. He knows how frail he is. While understandable, skipped content can always be saddening, mainly because of the frustrations that anime-onlys have. Hearing people say, why isn't Rudeus just blasting the whole market? He's OP. Well, he can't produce barriers. He can't produce a battle aura. He can't protect himself. He's super fragile. Why won't Fitz say anything? Well, there's a whole bunch of skipped chapters that express that anxiety and that buildup. In the end, I fully accept that my perspectives and my thoughts on this segment is, yes, clouded by the fact that I have knowledge of the bigger picture and the skipped content. Even still, I feel like this segment of the anime did well in hitting all these key points. However, I feel like some of the stuff that was scrapped, especially Rudeus' inner deeper conflicts, are the very things that mold Mushoku Tensei into what it is. It's not just another isekai. It's not another power fantasy. It's not an OP MC that's blasting to a crowd of Sugois. It's a character study unlike anything else out there. I just hope such cut content isn't a sign that Mushoku Tensei can eventually lose what makes it unique, and just being driven by just surface level emotion, rather than the deeper conflicts that Rudeus is always facing. Now, let's get into presentation, because sadly this is the area that I'm probably the most critical. Let's face it, we were spoiled by season 1 of Mushoku Tensei. And again, this extends to the narrative and the storytelling as well. Manabu Okamoto, who not only served as just the director, but also the scriptwriter and the series composition writer for season 1, did a spectacular job. And the team and animators at Studio Bind itself pulled out all the stops. Yes, you can find a screenshot here or there where things weren't super detailed. But let's face it, it was incredible. It led to one of the most greatest anime experiences I've ever had. And yes, technically led me into actually reading the light novel, which doesn't happen often. Season 2, without a doubt, no matter how much you want to ignore it, was a downgrade. Well, yes, still visually better than most anime you'll find out there. There's no denying that. There is no mistake that losing Okamoto and a shift of available animators had its impact. Not only were so many shots messy, character proportions sloppy at times, treants look like tentacle monsters, but most important to me personally is that so many scenes were just flat. It's obvious that Hiroki Hirano is not as artistically inclined, leading to most of the perspective shots to be just kind of dead on with the characters themselves. The use of different angles to immerse the viewer and enhance the tone of the moment are all but lost, leading to a majority of the scenes just simply being group photos with mouth flaps. That all said, animation-wise, they managed to deliver some really great moments. I found most all of the kidnapping episode to be one of my favorites. Most of the combat sequences with Counter Arrow and others were fulfilling. Again, while still better than most anime you'll see today, I can't help but wish for the original team to return. But all that said, Mushoku Tensei continues to be a series that people love to hate. Its dirty, raw, unfiltered take on a broken individual in an immoral and chaotic world are the ingredients for a believable, heartbreaking, and amazing story that keeps giving. Its controversial subjects and great areas it plays in are exactly what makes it so compelling, leading it down the road to being easily one of my favorite series of all time. And despite the fact that I will voice my criticisms, season 2 is carrying that torch quite a bit. I just hope that the anime continues to deliver that story. Dirt, stains, ugliness, tears, and all, as the best is yet to come. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the second season, part 1. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Additionally, if you're new to this channel, make sure that subscribe button to get my content. I do news reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, I do novel analysis every Monday, as well as I'm planning on every Sunday still to continue to do skip content for the anime only. So if you have watched the anime series and you want to know what the anime has missed, I'll be continuing doing videos regarding different characters and what was kind of skipped throughout the series. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support this channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. I greatly appreciate everybody that supports the channel. It means so much to me. And until the next time, y'all take care.